OU post-game show as the Sooners lose to the Miami Hurricanes 21-20. That's our show. We'll see you next time, everybody. Goodbye. I gotta talk 9 more minutes. Are you kidding me? Okay, I knew I wasn't going to get off quite that easy. We're going to break down the OU-Miami game in just a second, but first is a statistic I wanted to bring up to you, and it's pretty alarming. It's OU's difficulties on the road. Do you realize during the first half of this decade, from 2000 to 2004, the Oklahoma Sooners had a record of 26 wins and only 5 losses outside the state? A winning percentage of 85%. Outstanding. But since 2005, it's been anything but outstanding for OU in the same department. Since 2005, and we're counting the bowl games, and we're counting this year as well, Oklahoma in road games outside the state, 15 wins, 13 losses. Which means when they go on the road outside of Oklahoma, their chances of winning are just barely better than a coin flip. Yeah, that's disaster right there. So the Sooners, again, I don't know what happens when they go on the road. I think it's really mental, okay? Because of those 7 losses, the last 7 losses on the road outside the state, in 5 of those games, they scored first. They led at least 7-0. So I know for Oklahoma, they don't go in intimidated when they play on the road, but it is mental, okay? It is a mental state of mind for Oklahoma. Simply put, go out there, win the game, play better, and when the other team gets momentum, hang in there, realize that you're going to get momentum right back. But for some reason, including the Miami game on Saturday, when Oklahoma lost the momentum, it was too late. They got behind 21-10. They were playing catch-up at that point. And for the Sooners, it was just too much to overcome. So 21-20, OU with a tough 1-point defeat. And really, it doesn't matter if they lose by 1, 20, or 50. A loss is a loss is a loss. And anyway, when you lose by 1, it's actually even worse because you think more about the opportunities that you missed. So for Oklahoma, they'll try to go back to the drawing board and correct what's been going wrong. So one other thing I want to mention, and that is Miami. And definitely these aren't your father's Miami Hurricanes from the 1980s. These definitely are not the national championship caliber Hurricanes that would win games off their talent and off intimidation alone. But these definitely aren't the Hurricanes from 2 years ago that Oklahoma pasted by 38 points. That Miami team finished 5-7. I think it'll be a long time before you see the Hurricanes go back to being a mediocre 500 squad. Randy Shannon, Mark Whipple, and that Miami coaching staff, they definitely have the Hurricanes going in the right direction. They've done a fantastic job recruiting very physical, talented, fast athletes. And Miami's only going to get better because they're young. And they're doing a good job in recruiting, like I said, and they know what to do to the athletes once they come to the U. So the Hurricanes, they're definitely an ascending squad. Hopefully OU is not a descending squad, but it's very obvious to me that the squads are going in different directions right now. Okay, talking about the game itself, for Oklahoma in the first quarter, if you're an OU fan, you wanted to frame those first 5 minutes and keep them forever because that first drive was a work of art, passing and running. And you notice that Oklahoma ran exclusively on the left side of the line of scrimmage. They never ran on the right side on that opening possession. They got the touchdown from Landry Jones to Cameron Kinney, and it was 7-0 OU. The Sooners eventually would have a 10-0 lead. And then early second quarter, Miami got the thing rolling. And then a big play, I thought, in the second quarter when Miami was threatening for their first score near the red zone. Their everything quarterback, Ja'Cory Harris, got the ball stripped. Ball was on the turf for a while. Looked like maybe OU would have a good shot to recover and avert another Hurricane threat. But Miami recovered. Opportunity right there perhaps went by the wayside for the Sooners because the next play, bam, Miami scores a touchdown off a pass over the middle, and that would be a recurring theme all night long against the Sooner defense. So it was Miami cutting the OU lead to a field goal, and I thought Oklahoma also had missed opportunities, at least 2, inside the Miami 40-yard line, and both affected by penalties. One off a holding penalty late in the second quarter, in which it went from 2nd and 1 near the Miami 35 to 2nd and 11. In the following play, OU ran a draw play, which didn't work, and OU would eventually run out of downs and out of time in the first half. So even though Oklahoma blew an opportunity, they still led 10-7, and then Miami came out like gangbusters in the second half, really punched OU in the mouth, and that opening kickoff of the second half, in which Moses Madu got way late at his own 13, I thought that really fired Miami up and fired the crowd up at Landshark Stadium. And then 2 plays later, Landry Jones, unprotected, got hit lost the ball for OU's only turnover of the game. But it was a costly one because the next play, bam, short touchdown pass from Ja'Cory Harris, again over the middle. Miami took the lead 14-10, would eventually extend the lead to 21-10, a long touchdown pass, you guessed it, over the middle. Bob Stoops very unhappy with his secondary as they gave up another big play. 21-10, Miami up 11. The Sooners, though, fought like crazy to get back in the game, eventually cut it to 21-17, got a nice punt return halfway through the fourth quarter. Got the ball near midfield, but it was obvious at that point with about 6 minutes to go, OU down by 4, maybe their last opportunity to score a touchdown. It was obvious to me that the coaching staff said, okay, we're going to try to win this game with DeMarco Murray by running the ball because the first 4 plays were runs. They got the ball down to the 20, and then Miami figured out what was happening. So I think Miami at that point said, okay, Landry Jones, you're going to have to beat us because we're going to go all out to stop the run. 1st and 10 from the 20 of Miami, stopped. 2nd down, run over the right side, stopped. So OU eventually had 3rd and 11, and a short pass didn't do much. OU got the field goal, thinking that they're going to get the ball back with the, later in the game, because about 4 minutes to go, you're down by a point and you have 2 timeouts. But Miami at that point sealed the deal with some nice runs and some poor OU tackling. And then the 3rd and 6th play near midfield, in which Miami converted another 3rd down. You guessed it, a pass over the middle, and Ja'Cory Harris, after the bad start, would end up with 3 touchdown passes as he picked OU apart. Miami runs out the clock and hands OU their 2nd loss of the season. So overall, OU is apparent to me that even though I don't think the loss necessarily means they're going to have a bad season, one thing is very obvious to me: the secondary has to do a much better job of defending passes over the middle. The crossing slant patterns, they were killed by it all night long. The secondary, even though they had 2 early interceptions, I thought had a bad game, had coverage breakdowns, and bad tackling as well. Really, the 4 keys of this game that I highlighted on my pregame show, where we're going to review pretty briefly. I give OU thumbs down on Welcome to Miami because they didn't win the game, and the crowd really became a factor, especially in that 3rd quarter in which Miami took the lead. The men up front for Oklahoma, a thumbs down there, largely because the right side of the offensive line was largely ineffective. Jarvis Jones does not need to be playing for OU. He's a horrible right tackle, gave up a sack, and also had missed blocking assignments and got whipped all night long. Now I know why he doesn't play at LSU anymore. And also, you better hurry, Ja'Cory. That was another key. A thumbs down for OU in this department. Even though the Sooners at times got to him, they didn't get to him near enough, and they did not get to him on a consistent basis, especially when they needed to the most. And then special teams, win by special means, thumbs off in this situation, because I thought both teams played pretty good on special teams. OU had a trick play that worked on a fake field goal, and a good job of acting by Tressway, the OU punter, and keeping an OU drive going by faking getting roughed. But Miami's punter was just as effective by nailing Oklahoma deep in their territory, and also had a key tackle on that Dominic Franks punt return midway through the 4th quarter. Otherwise, who knows how far Franks could have been running anyway. So thumbs off in that situation. Overall for OU, they got to get better on the road, and even though the Ryan Burroughs injury, that stinks, still though, the teams who are the best are the ones that can overcome adversity, and Oklahoma simply did not overcome their share of adversity on Saturday night. So back to the drawing board for the Sooners. Big 12 play coming up. Baylor, Saturday, 2:30 kickoff. ABC will televise it. And of course, the game that we're really not looking forward to, at least not right now, that October 17th showdown in Dallas against Texas. Hopefully the Longhorns will have a little bit of mercy on the Sooners.